World of Tankers, welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Droodles Blitz, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about something good that Wargaming is doing for World of Tanks Blitz. Yes, I know, amidst all the bad news when it comes to Reforged and the matchmaker and teammates and everything, today we are finally talking about something good, and that is gun marks. A couple weeks ago, I made a video hinting that gun marks could potentially be coming into the game, mainly because Wargaming had a live stream where Alexandra and Tony, who are two of the Wargaming presenters, had tattooed gun marks on their arm. It was pretty, easy to confirm that they were coming into the game just by looking at the tattoos, but further than that, Wargaming has gone out of their way and now publicly announced on their Discord server that gun marks are officially coming into the game. I'm pretty sure it's next update, but don't quote me on that. I haven't looked too much into when exactly they're getting released, but obviously when they do, I will make a video showcasing exactly how they work and as well how you can achieve them. But today we're going to be talking about what gun marks are, and we already have the threshold of XP, how skilled you're going to have to be to achieve them, and everything else. So let's start off with what are gun marks, because a lot of players that aren't familiar with World of Tanks PC or Lesta won't know what gun marks are. So what exactly are they? Basically, if we pause the game really quickly here, we can see my Jagdtiger 88. Now, at the end of my Jagdtiger 88, we have the gun barrel. And depending on how skilled you are, when Wargaming releases gun marks, there will be marks on your gun barrel correlating to how skilled you are in that tank. So if you're performing better than, let's say, 65% of players in the Jagdtiger, you'll have a bar that will appear on this vehicle. And that will say, hey, look, I'm better than 65% of players in this tank. It's a universal way to tell not only the skill level of a player, but also it is a very easy way to show that you are a skilled player at Blitz. So I'm going to tell you all the ways that Wargaming is balancing gun marks, and you guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. So let's start off with the appearance. They appear regardless of any camo, legendary camouflage, or attachments you have equipped. So that's actually good if you're running a legendary camo or something like that. Gun marks will still be visible. Wargaming is just going to rework how the camos look with the gun marks. You can earn gun marks on tier 9 and 10 tanks currently when they are released. Wargaming is planning, as they've announced, to add gun marks to lower tier vehicles like tier 8 and 7, and obviously I'm assuming they're going to do this probably starting at like tier 6, but yes, they are planning on adding gun marks to all the tiers, I would assume at some point, but tier 9 and 10 are the only tiers right now, and that's fine because most skilled players don't care too much about tier 8 and below, so we'll see exactly how they work, and they will become available 14 days after release. I would assume that means release of the next update. You must have at least 5,000 battles in your statistics to qualify. And that is something that is so happy for me to see. Because there are so many players that re-roll their accounts, go into New Matchmaker, and then act like they're skilled at the game. Listen, I've got no problem if you re-roll your account. If you don't like the way that your stats are, and you want to spend more money on the game to buy more tanks, to then artificially inflate your skill level because you're playing a Noob MM, then that's your choice. But I'm glad that Wargaming has realized that it's abusive to re-roll an account, go into Noob Matchmaking, and then pretend like you're better than everybody else because you gun-marked and 3-marked your tanks. Because the way gun marks work is it's based off of your last 50 battles, and they're permanent. So once you earn those 3 marks, they never go away. So if you are a player that were able to abuse the Noob Matchmaker and then just pretend that you're skilled, you can understand how that's a bit of a problem. So I'm happy that Wargaming is actually properly making it so gun marks don't just, completely ruin the game. It's something that I'm happy about there. And you shouldn't be able to get them if you're a Noob MM. With that being said, how does the XP requirements work and how skilled do they require you to be? So gun marks are awarded based on average gun mark XP over your last 50 battles with a specific tank compared to other players using the same tank. So it's based off of XP. Now, Gunmark XP measures battle effectiveness and only includes XP without multipliers, no team damage bonus, and no victory bonus. So whether you win or lose, gun marks do not change. Doesn't matter if you win or lose, which I guess is interesting, but you will get probably less XP if you lose, so I guess it will make a difference. And also, it is not based off damage. Obviously, the more damage you deal, the more XP you get. So yes, damage is going to increase your chances of getting more marks, but it is not a direct cause of XP, right? There are other ways to get XP. Capping a base, tracking enemies, dealing assistance. All of these are also ways to get XP in the game, which I think is good. It rewards players for not just being selfish, and you're going to have to do more than just farm damage to be able to achieve marks, which I think is going to be good for the game, because I'm happy that Wargaming has decided to make it a little bit more skill-based and not farm-based. So, the performance thresholds. How does it work? I'm actually very pleased to say that Wargaming has actually made them pretty challenged. So, to get your first gun mark, you have to be better than 65% of the player base. That's not too challenging. I think most of the people in today's video will probably get their hands on at least one mark for a few of their tanks. Then it becomes pretty challenging. The next one is top 15% of players. So in other words, you have to be better than 85% of players. That means only 15% of the people watching today's video will realistically get their hands on a 2-marked tank. That's already pretty challenging. But it gets even harder when you take a look at the final one, which is top 5% of players. This is the 3rd mark. So if you want to be able to 3-mark your tank, you have to be better than 95% of the Blitz player base. That is not going to be achievable for most people. As I said, 95% of the player base. So this is something that's actually going to be really challenging for a lot of players to achieve. I'm really excited for gun marks, though, because it's going to allow me to have a lot of content to live stream, 3-marking all of my tier 10s, which is obviously something that I'm going to do at some point. So definitely going to be really excited for that when they do get released. And then we'll do all the tier 9s and all the tier 8s. So we'll have to see exactly what happens there. Now, it doesn't take 50 games to gun mark your tank, even though it's based over your last 50 games. You can earn them before that if you do good enough. You just have to raise your XP level high enough that it matches other players' 50 battle averages. So that's how basic it works in that regard. Overall, gun marks are really, really easy to understand. I should mention that battles in other modes or in platoons do not count or interrupt progress. So what that means is if you're playing in game modes, no, gun marks aren't going to go up. If you're playing in ratings, they are not going to go up. This only works in random battles, which is actually good, in my opinion. Wargaming is doing everything right here. They've made gun marks challenging. They've made the XP requirements actually, good. And not only that, they've made it so that you can only do them in pubs, which is how it should be done. They are visible to every single player in the game, which means that now you're going to be able to tell if your teammate sucks immediately or if they're actually not bad at the game. Even if somebody has 1 mark, it means that they're decent enough to actually know what they're doing. If they don't, then probably you won't trust them as much as a teammate. So I'm really excited to actually see Wargaming is taking a step in the right direction. You know, Blitz has been just bombarded with a bunch of negative news right now when it comes to Reforged still being a bit problematic, when it comes to the teams and everything else. And while I don't think that gun marks are going to save the game, I do think that it's going to make it a lot more enjoyable for me as a skilled player, because it's going to give me something to do. As I always tell my friends, the major problem with Blitz for me right now is I have no goals. I have every tank in the game. There's nothing for me to grind anymore. Sure, playing the game, I can try and get good stats, but I already have good stats. I don't need to prove myself to anybody. I'm already, my cron stats, for example, on my press account, 3,675%. I don't need to prove myself to anybody. So at this point, the only thing that I really have been wanting to add into Blitz is gun marks, because it's something that actually allows me to not only show my skill, but grind something out that I previously did not have. And that's cool. So thank you, Wargaming, for listening to the player base. If you do this more often, maybe, just maybe, you'll get somewhere. Either way, hopefully all of you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.